Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. The municipal corporation polls for the biggest city in the region and the gateway to the northeast will be held in just 3 days' time. While campaigning is at its peak, the opposition Congress has been hit by another major crisis just ahead of the polls. One of the Congress's senior leaders who had led the party to the last assembly elections has quit. His allegation: the Congress is battered by infighting and a section of the top APCC leaders are hand in gloves with the BJP in the state. Does all this in a way take the focus away from the GMC polls, or does it give a decisive advantage to the BJP, which in any case claims to be the front runner in the GMC race? Will one debacle after another, one debacle after another, is the Congress in a position to put up its best fight in the GMC polls? And in all this politicking, are people's issues being addressed during campaigning for the GMC polls? To discuss the matter, I'll be joined today in the studios in Guwahati by BJP spokesperson Janki Goswami. Teenat Masood, social activist, also joins me from Guwahati. So does Avina Bora, political analyst. The Congress, we tried to get a Congress spokesperson to the show, but none of them, we were told, are available till the GMC polls are over. If I can go to Teenat Masood first. Welcome, Teenat, to Bottom Line. Well, a lot of politicking going on, but definitely apart from the GMC polls, the focus is also into the internal crisis of the Congress, isn't it?
Well, Nabaran, thank you so much for inviting me to your show. First, it's been a long time since I've come to your show. Well, yes, look, in which political party doesn't infighting happen? Infighting happens all the time. Now, coming to the point of where Mr. Ripun Bora has left the party, this is a shame. In fact, I feel it is a very embarrassing thing to do for him because starting from Bhubaneswar, Kolita, we have noticed that they have got enough. Like both these two persons, if I may say, both these two persons have got enough. Now, if they had not won, what I had heard was that Mr. Ripun Bora has blamed some XYZ person. Now, when he has pointed his finger at somebody, there are three fingers pointing back at him. He should understand that if he has not been wanted by the people, then he should understand that he should step aside. He should step aside and let somebody else take over the reins instead of continuously thinking that it is their birthright to be sitting in that chair of power. I think that it is a very wrong thing to do, both for Mr. Bhubaneswar Kalita and Mr. Ripun Bora. And you're talking about infighting. This is something which happens in all parties. In all parties. But more importantly is that every member in every party should think. I'm talking about the party that I have an ideology towards. I want to say that it should be party first and not people first or the individual first. What Mr. Ripun Bora and Mr. Bhubaneswar Kalita has done is that since they were anticipating that they will not be winning, they will be not getting the seat, or they'll not be winning the elections, so they immediately shifted their goalpost and then they're somewhere else. So is that how it is? That it's their Jansid Adhikar to be the leaders forever and ever, and they will not hand it over to somebody else? There are so many eligible leaders in the party. They should definitely allow them to rise and shine instead of continuously sitting in that post, trying to have their plum post, trying to think as if they are the kings. I think it's time for them to stop thinking that they are the kings. They should step down. They should become more of advisors to the party. They have had enough. Now, Mr. Ripun Bora, his wife, everybody has been taking the cream of the party.
But he has made some serious allegations. First, of course, as I mentioned, infighting. Secondly, every time there's a debacle within the Congress ends up blaming the BJP. Again, same thing, Ripun Bora has said some of the senior APCC leaders are hand in gloves with the BJP. Bhupen Bora, the president, again says in turn, no, it's Ripun Bora who was hand in gloves with the BJP. So it's the one who's leaving the party, the one who's with the party, both are blaming the BJP.
Look, Nabarun, again, like I told you in the beginning, when you point your finger at someone else, there are three fingers pointing back at you. Now, Mr. Ripun Bora is blaming the BJP, XYZ, ABC, everybody. But has he done some introspection for himself? Has he looked deep inside himself and found out what are the faults he has? Does he have faults? Is he questioning his own self? Did Mr. Bhuvaneshwar Kalita question his own self before he left the party? The party gave them so much, and yet they just kicked it and went because they had to stay in power. Why is this? This hunger for power, the kursi, the money is so important that you forget about your party, you forget about the people, you forget about everything, and you just push everything aside. You can't keep blaming. You can't keep blaming the BJP for everything. Do some introspection first. I mean, you have to do some introspection first before you start blaming any party at all. Anybody. In fact, not just a party, but anybody.
Abhinav, do you think the way things are, should we put it that it's can we say it's Ripun Bora who has left the party, or should we say he has been forced to left the party? Which would be more appropriate?
I think, Navarun, both of these interpretations will be appropriate. Now, you will have to begin by understanding that while Ripun Bora has left the party, it would not actually create much setback for the party apart from a sense of negative perception. Because electorally, if you look at it, Ripun Bora does not even command any political capital, any electoral capital. He does not resonate enough with the electorate to actually make any meaningful contributions for the party. People like Ripun Bora are actually leaders who have been continuously propped up by the Congress High Command, and as a result, they have also ended up depriving a lot of other people, like Tina has said, and have actually contributed to the downturn of the Congress. So while Ripun Bora has left the party and he has made a lot of contributions, a lot of accusations, I think what we need to understand is that Ripun Bora's exit, it represents a larger crisis of the Congress, a crisis that has also been actively created and contributed by leaders like Ripun Bora themselves. So while they are now blaming the party, they are talking about infidelity of party members towards the organization. These are issues that even someone like Ripun Bora is also to be blamed. So I really do not think that Ripun Bora has got any moral right to play victim out here, because as PCC president and as a Congress leader over the years, he can actually be accused of all the things that he is now criticizing his colleagues for. So this is how I look at it.
Teenat Masood, but the timing of Ripun Bora's exit, well, for the Congress, it doesn't really come at a good time. Just 4 days ahead of the GMC polls, as you mentioned, it does have some negative impact. Forget about whether he was relevant or not. That will keep it for another day. The man is not here to defend himself. But nevertheless, it makes it look like the Congress House is not at all in order. How can people trust the party? So definitely not a very good timing as far as the Congress is concerned. And that is something that the party has to live with for now.
Yes, I think you're right in a way. And like I said in the very beginning, I would like to reiterate again and again that Mr. Ripun Bora has to do some introspection. He has to understand why he has been sidetracked. You can't remain an MLA and an MP forever. You have to give others a chance. And if people don't like you, you have to understand, you have to ask yourself, why am I not liked? Why is it that people are not liking me? Is it there is some lacking? Is there some lacking in me? That question should arise in your mind. I am a teacher. Now, if I do not teach well, and if my students do not like me, so they will come up and tell me, we don't like your teaching. So I have to improve myself. I have to do some introspection. That is what is needed in a leader. A leader should not be thinking that I need to sit in this chair forever. It is not like that. And he should have had the capacity to build other leaders. A leader is not known only for just sitting there and sitting at a plumb post. It's not like that. he should also know how to create more leaders so that the party becomes stronger.
Well, I
It's
also
not
have with
like that.
yeah, I also have with me Janki Goswami of the BJP. Well, another crisis in the Congress. They end up blaming the BJP. Do you take that as a credit, or it doesn't matter? Probably they do it every time, so you are used to it by now.
They're blaming the BJP for the exit of one of their leaders, are they?
As in the situation created, I mean, Ripun Bora is saying that senior Assam Pradesh Congress leaders are hand in gloves with the BJP and the CM. The APCC president is saying it was in fact Ripun Bora who has been close to the CM and the BJP. So both pointing fingers at each other, and the BJP seems to be the common villain here.
See, in today's political scenario, I don't know how much relevance Ripun Bora's exit or entry into any party holds, because I don't think Ripun Bora is in such a position that his exit from one party or his addition to another party will cause such a big upheaval. Because we have seen Ripun Bora's credibility over the years. I think the party who has welcomed him, they have not done any career assessment of his, of his recent debacles. Because if you look at his track record, last few elections he has continuously lost. The most recent dent in his career has been his debacle in the Rajya Sabha. So, but nevertheless, he was a figure in the Congress. So, for Congress party, maybe the Congress party will suffer a loss because of his exit. Why he left the party, what reasons he has given, I don't think those reasons are reasons enough for him to speak publicly, because he has been in the party, he has been holding very good positions. I think, the Congress leaders, they are very used to this power game politics, because if they do not have power, they feel that there is no use of being in a party or indulging
That's
themselves.
probably true for a lot of leaders, so we'll not get into that.
Themselves in party politics, because if you talk about BJP has this, our leaders, our cadres have this mentality of, we have this feeling
Abhinav,
of, we have this belief of serving the nation, serving the people, serving the party.
Abhinav,
the element of service is not there in the Congress, the Congress cadres.
Abhinav, well, whatever you may say or people may say.
That is why probably without having a designation, he found it difficult to sustain in the party.
Abhinav, despite everything, would you consider this as a big gain in a way for the TMC? At least having a face for a party which had no presence in Northeast just a year back, now has a sizable presence in 3 states, at least Meghalaya, Tripura, they are making inroads. Meghalaya, they are the primary opposition party. In Assam, well, Sushmita Dev joined, now Ripun Bora. Nothing to lose as far as the TMC is concerned. Should Congress be worried about that?
I think if you look at Indian politics as it has developed, the most immediate threat to the Congress has never actually been the BJP, but it is the emergence of similar centralist parties like the Congress, for example, a TMC in Bengal or a JDU or an AAP in Delhi. So, of course, the very fact that the opposition parties, the regional parties, are now trying to take and appropriate the space that is traditionally dominated by the Congress is certainly should be a cause of worry for the Congress leadership if they actually understand it in the right way. However, at the same time, you also have to understand that co-opting someone like a Mukul Sangma is very different from co-opting someone like a Ripun Bora. Because in Assam's politics, and with the kind of development that we are seeing in Assam's politics over the last 2 years, Ripun Bora or even a Sushmita Dev without the party apparatus of the Congress, how much political weight that they individually command by the dint of their own personal popularity is something that is actually very difficult to say. In fact, I can answer it in the negative. Of course, in terms of creating a perception, creating a symbolic presence in the Northeast, of course, roping in Ripun Bora does help in that way. But I do not think that if their ultimate goal is to tackle the BJP, take on the BJP in 2026, roping in leaders like Ripun Bora or Sushmita Dev, who are not people who have been winning elections, but are rather people who have been losing elections, that would not actually go very far. This is very similar to what the Congress had done when they had roped in former MPs like R.P. Horma, for that matter, people who were in the first place rejected by the BJP. So you cannot build up a solid opposition party by appropriating political rejects. You have to actually do so by going to the ground and taking people who are genuinely connected with the ground, who have a genuine popularity and a resonance with the electorate.
Now, Teenat Masood, having a weak opposition, if I can say right now, with the Congress amidst another crisis, does that take the sheen away from the GMC polls in a way, with the BJP, of course, clearly looking favorites and the Congress in a crisis? Yes, people are talking about something called the Aam Aadmi Party, but their new entrants, a word or two is a different thing, but then AAP is not still a serious player in this part of the country, that's for sure. Lot or a little was expected from Congress, but it still once again is engulfed in crisis. So do you think that takes the excitement away from the GMC polls as far as the outcome, the results are concerned?
If I may say, as a person who has loved the Congress of the past very much, I feel that they should, the Congress, the members of the Congress should, instead of blaming others, do a more kind of a kind of closed door meeting instead of, like you had said, quote unquote, they are into spats and they are into some internal fights. But I think that what they should do is they should, in fact, talk with everybody in their party about what is that one problem that is eating them up. And I think, yes, you are saying whether this is going to take away the excitement, but I don't think it's going to take away the excitement. I think it's going to make it even more exciting. It's going to make it more exciting, in fact, this whole this GMC elections.
Abhinav, your reactions?
Without the exit of Ripun Bora or such kind of leaders, as it is, I think the GMC elections have already been a foregone conclusion. You take it from me, like I have been predicting elections in your channel, in your show. The GMC elections would be swept by the BJP, and there are a few factors that explain it. The first factor, without even going into the actual successes or failures of the government currently, what are those factors that are actually determining voting behavior, as I have found out in my own field visits over the last few days? The first factor is, of course, people realize that this government still has 4 more years in office. So right now, a voter, it is quite natural that a voter would not actually side with an opposition party, because they would think that making a councillor out of an opposition party member would only inhibit the process of development that might actually take place if someone from the ruling party is appointed. Secondly, of course, the kind of ground management that the BJP has, it cannot actually be compared with the Congress in its current state. If I am not mistaken, and Janki would be better informed, I think every ward has been assigned a Pradesh BJP leader as well as an MLA or a minister. In comparison, you have a Congress which does not even shy away from sending a spokesperson to your show this evening. Thirdly, what happens is that people are looking at the current chief minister as someone who would be delivering in the short term, and as a result of that, they believe that by actually electing people from this party, the public can also help and aid the process and would make it easy for the chief minister to deliver. Now, I'm not saying that whether this is a correct or a wrong assessment. This is the general feedback that I have got from the people. And finally, and this is something that I have seen in Upper Assam municipal polls when I had traveled there, even the minority vote would be shifting. A portion of the minority vote which had been steadily voting for the Congress, now they feel alienated and disillusioned. Because if you have seen, it is for the minorities as well, it is as if they have been wasting their vote by voting for the Congress, because the Congress is not being able to put up a successful show. On the other hand, while the AAP has also emerged, its ground presence as well as its reach is still very limited. So in that situation, and with, like I
Absolutely.
said, 4 more years for the former ministry to go, even the minority votes would also be shifting to a certain extent towards the BJP. So the cumulative result of all of this is that we are seeing a landslide similar to the landslide that we had seen when the municipal election results were declared in other parts of Assam. So this is what is considered the accumulation of all these factors together will contribute to a landslide, not a minor victory for the people.
Janki Goswami, the stage is set for the BJP assembly polls, but now the GMC polls. No looking back and no excuses now. From here on, the BJP, of course, has to deliver, look ahead, has to deliver for Assam.
See, our party is very result-driven and very delivery-driven. As I was, I did not complete my conversation. It is, when we go back to Ripun Bora, the major, probably the drawback was that people like Ripun Bora, they are now lackluster politicians. They have lost their dynamism. The political dynamics have changed over the years. The political dynamics has shifted from, leader-driven, from leader-centric to people-centric. So our party, we concentrate on people, we concentrate on Janata Janardhan, they decide ultimately. So we are very, very delivery driven, we are very, very result driven, and what we do is we concentrate on development. Development is the agenda, and nowadays I feel if the agenda is not development politics is the trend of the day. We have to keep up with it, and the people have their expectations. We have to live up to the expectations of the people, and that is what BJP does.
Very quickly, Teenat Masood.
Thank you so much, madam, from the BJP, my dear friend. Of course, we have been in the Congress before. And let me tell you one thing, that you talk about development. Well, let me tell you one thing. I vote in ward number 50, in ward number 59, and I stay in ward number 50. And I have ample videos and pictures for you to show that the water supply project has been there since 2006. The roads have been broken. It's only before the GMC elections that the road has been made. I have been tweeting endlessly about it, that the roads are broken and that it needs to be repaired. Now this, you are talking about development. Well, development, making flyovers is not development, madam. Cutting down trees is not development, madam. It is about getting water, we need, the place where I stay, there are no street lights. And I have been screaming about it for years now.
Okay.
Since the time Mr. Sarvadanda Sonwal was the chief minister, I've been shouting about it, making videos and telling people
Janki
that
Goswami
we need
wants to
In the
respond
last
very quickly.
5 years, madam, if you visit any nook and corner of the city, then you will see that we have roads which have been made out of pavers block, which was not available earlier. Most of the roads, even I have visited ward to ward, and I have seen even the roads in the hilly areas, the hills
Madam,
of
please come to my
Guwahati have
ward.
pavers
Please
block
come to
roads
my
nowadays.
ward
Yes,
in
water
ward
is an
number
agenda
50.
which our
Please
government
come
is
to my ward
addressing, and
number
by the end of
50.
this year,
It
we
was
promise to
broken.
deliver
My
water to
car
the homes
has
of the
not been-
people.
we have not
Ma'am,
been
you
able
have
to
been
drive my
such a
car.
loyalist Congress.
You will
You
see
have
that
been a
we have the
loyalist.
fish ponds.
You have been a
We have the
loyalist of
fish
the Congress
ponds.
party. Then you stand
I am
answerable.
still a
Why did you
loyalist.
not do the work in the last so many years, so many decades? Why did you fail to
You
deliver
have been
the
here since
expectations of the
years.
people
You
for so
have been
many
here
years?
since
It was
years.
just the last 5
You have
years
been
that
here
we got
since
an
years.
opportunity to work for the
No
people of
point
Assam, and
shouting.
we have done
We
it.
are in the opposition
We have done
because
it,
we
no
did not
doubt,
work.
no doubt,
We
no
did
doubt.
not work,
We
and
are
that is
lacking.
why we are in the
We
opposition.
are
We
lacking.
accept the facts. You
No
have
doubt,
been
there
in
are
power for the last so
certain
many years,
elements which
and
we
you have
still need to
not done
deliver,
anything
like
at
water
all.
supply
You
to
come
homes,
to my ward,
and
you
cutting
come to
down
my ward,
and
you come
mitigating
to
the
ward
problem
number
of
59. There
flash
is
floods,
waterlogging when
which
the
we
water
will
comes
deliver
down
by
from
the end of
Meghalaya.
this year.
There is enough
So
water
if you
to,
are
there
such
is
a
waist
loyalist,
deep
you
water.
also stand
What are
answerable
you
to
doing
this
about
question.
that?
Why are
You
there
said you will
no
remove
street lights even
waterlogging.
now?
You said you will give water. You said you will give electricity. Where is the water for people? People in my area are still buying water. What is this? Today when I went to the
Yes,
shop, and then
we
this
do agree.
this
We
person,
do
he's a
agree.
BJP loyalist. When I told
Yes,
him that
we do
BJP is
agree.
going to win in this ward, he said all Misha
If
Kotha,
you
stop Misha
give
Kotha.
me a
This
second,
is what he said.
if you give me
Yeah,
a second
I
to
am
reply to
sorry,
your
madam.
question.
Your development plans have failed. Please accept it.
And if
Making
you say that
flyovers is not
making
development.
flyovers is no development, then what is it? What is it? Making
Why are you
flyovers,
making? Why are
making
you cutting
roads,
down so many
making
trees?
bridges
Have you
is
spoken out
development.
about the trees?
Is definitely
Have you spoken about the trees?
development.
Madam, In the quest for development, you cannot hurt nature. You have cut down enough trees
Madam,
in
if
Zuro
we have
that
if
has
we have
spoiled
cut
the
trees,
ecology.
if we have cut trees for making roads or for making flyovers or for making bridges, then we have also planted trees. We have planted
Really?
more
Please
than
give me
10
the
crore
data.
saplings in the
Please
last
give me
5
the data
years.
where you
That
have
is also
planted
what
these
you need to
trees.
look
I
at.
would like to know where you have planted the trees, madam.
That is also
I would really like to know
what you need to
where
look
you have
at.
planted the trees.
Let's not digress from the main GMC issue. Teenat Masood, of course, Janki Goswami here. Can we accept that yes, a lot needs to be done? True, a lot could have been done in the past as well, which did not happen. And well, that's where parties should come in, accept and go ahead with their development agenda projects, and that needs cooperation from the opposition as well. Yeah, very quickly, we're running out of time.
I'll just quickly say about this. Janki madam, I'll just tell you about the garbage plant which has closed down. Today morning, when my garbage boy came to pick up the garbage, I told him, why do you come after a week? He says, Baido, the garbage dump in Boragaon has closed down. We don't have any place to dispose the garbage. If you remember, during the Congress time, there was a plant which was opened which would recycle the garbage. Now that has not been done. That is broken. That is gone. That is defunct. So, madam, what have you done for this garbage disposal near Deeporville? Now look at how Deeporville is getting destroyed. Madam, what are you doing? These are the things that we need. These are the questions that needs to be answered.
A proper system for garbage disposal as well as a dumping ground for garbage is coming up very soon. With this plan, it is a plan in the pipeline which did not see the day of the light of the day because of certain issues. There were certain, push and pull, certain factors were working against it, but we are soon coming up with a proper plan for garbage disposal, and that is for sure. And not only that, as madam has been talking about the water crisis, yes, water is an issue all across Guwahati. And by the end of, as we can see, another system
also part of the manifesto.
Yes, it is a part of the manifesto. It is definitely a part of the manifesto, and we are trying to provide water supply to every home of Guwahati by the end of this year. That is another promise that is there in their manifesto, together with garbage disposal and mitigating the flash flood problem of Assam. We have done in the last 5 years, if you actually see in places like Nobin Nagar and Anil Nagar, these places were, totally submerged underwater. Even boats were running in those places in the last 3-4 years. That was the scenario of these places. But now that problem has been mitigated.
Ma'am, I will request you to please
visit my ward.
My ward in 59. Ward 59. Please come to Soy Mile. Please come to Soy Mile. Please come there and see how the water from Meghalaya comes and totally inundates the roads. Another thing, madam, I want to ask you a question. Recently, Honorable Chief Minister had said regarding the GMC elections, he had said that there will be enough funds which will be pumped into the system so that every ward is developed very properly. I think you know about it. Now, the other question that I have is that another senior minister of yours, I don't want to name him, he had said, I think you will know this, he had said that only when a BJP member is there in the ward, when he wins, will it not be difficult. It will not be, he will not face difficulty, only when there's a BJP member. Now, madam, let me complete this. My question is, my statement is that any person who has a love for the city, who has some inclination to do some development like me, I am constantly up with my phone. I am constantly into development and telling the minister. I also tweet Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma that this is what is happening. So I want to know from you that why would a senior minister from your office say that he what did he say?
It's a case of holier than thou here. It's a case of holier than thou here happens every time, isn't it? Very quickly,
every spokesperson of the Congress has been carrying this paper and quoting that your minister has said that money will be pumped into your constituency, money will be pumped into your ward or your area. Only if you vote for the BJP. That is one thing. One that you have made an agenda out of it. But let me tell you very clearly.
I am not even a spokesperson of the Congress, madam. Please
I don't know,
yourself.
but
I'm not
since
the
you are
first person.
representing your party, since you are representing
I
your
am
party
not.
in this
I
panel
am a-
discussion,
I
I
have been
consider you.
introduced
She has
as a
not
social
come here.
activist.
Let me clarify. She has
I
not
have
come here as a Congress
I've been introduced
representative.
as a social activist.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let me
Okay.
clarify on this. Nevertheless,
so,
it's
Let me then
Very
rephrase.
quickly.
Yeah, let me then rephrase. Now, since this has been repeatedly coming up, I would just like to clarify one thing. That was a style of saying probably, but it is definitely true that if it is in coordination, as we say, there is BJP in the center, there is BJP in the state. If we have BJP in our local authorities also, then it will be a smooth functioning for the member who works for that
But
area.
why, madam? Why? Why
No.
can't an individual
I'm sorry, I
like me
have
also
to
suppose
come in
I
here.
am
we
Absolutely
said,
short of
I
time.
said
How can it
coordination
be
will
that
be
it
better.
can-
Absolutely
I
short
never
of time.
Oh my
No,
God!
no lack
Oh
of
my
funds. I
God.
said coordination will be
so
better,
there is
and
no
it is
Sabke
always
Saath
so.
Sabke Vikas.
Coordination is
So
better,
there is
and it
no
is
Sabke
always
Saath
so.
Sabke
We
Vikas,
believe in
Sabke
this
Vikas.
Well,
double
whoever
engine
wins-
sarkar, and
It is
whoever
always
wins-
about your party.
whoever
we
It is
believe
always
in
wins-
this
about
double
your
engine
party. It is
sarkar,
always
and
about your
definitely we
members.
believe that coordination will be better, and we can
Whoever
work
wins,
better.
we need watchdogs.
Why
We need
can't you
watchdogs.
coordinate with
It is
other
only a
members?
matter of coordination,
Why can't
not
we be friends
funds.
with other parties?
It
Why
is
can't
only
we
a
just
matter
think
of
about
coordination,
country
not
first?
funds.
Why can't we think about state first instead
The
of
Whoever
flow of
wins,
fund is equal.
whoever wins, we
your
do
pussy,
need watchdogs.
your
I'm sorry,
power
I'm
all the time?
absolutely
Why?
running out of time. Whoever wins, we do need watchdogs, and I'm sure with activists like you, Tinat Masood, we'll have a lot of them around. Thank you so much for joining in, Avina Bora. Thank you so much. We're absolutely short of time. Janki Goswami, thank you so much for making it. We'll take a very short break here.